Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Luis Fernandez. A 4-year-old Johnston County boy is dead, and his family believes Child Protective Services should have done more to protect him. WRAL reviewed records to learn what happened to Jack Gibson. His mother, Amber Gibson, is now facing child abuse and drug charges, although family members say caseworkers visited her home at least 4 times earlier this year. Gibson's 3 children were not removed until July 1st. WRAL's Cloherty and Rennee Chou talk through what we know.
We're talking about a 4-year-old Johnston County boy who is dead, and his family thinks that Child Protective Services should have done more to protect him.
Yeah.
And his mother is now facing child abuse and drug charges. And no one knows how Jack Gibson died. So, Megan, you have dug through the records. You're trying to learn what happened to Jack. First, bring us up to speed. How did we get here?
So this started when Amber Gibson, his mom, was arrested on July 1st. Johnston County Sheriff's Department office was looking at this home, watching it for drug trafficking. They go in, they arrest her, and DSS comes, Department of Social Services in Johnston County, and takes her 3 kids and takes them for drug testing at the hospital. All of them test negative. She's charged with possession of drugs and a stolen firearm and a couple other charges. And the county gives the kids to the grandparents because they had usually taken care of them before. So Jack is complaining of like a sore hip. He has a fever. Doctors are concerned about that, but they can't really find anything. They did blood work. They did, what they need to do. And we have his health record that his grandparents shared. And on there it says, we think it's a viral infection. If the fever continues, doctors told the grandparents to, Tylenol, acetaminophen, just kind of back and forth. And if it continues, to take him to his pediatrician. So that night, they couldn't get the fever under control. They take him to the pediatrician the next day. Meanwhile, he's 4. So he's like, when you give him Tylenol, he's then fine again. And he's running around with his siblings. And so he was acting relatively normal to them.
And they thought things were okay.
They thought things were okay. They take him to the pediatrician. They x-ray his hip because he says, my hip hurts. And everything came back normal. That night was July 3rd, and they found his body on July 4th. And so the medical examiner is figuring out how he passed.
So no results yet from
no results yet.
Autopsy.
Yeah, the family's still waiting. And so there's this mysterious, why did this happen? And the grandparents are just feel in their gut that it's because of the environmental conditions that he was living in with his siblings.
And what kinds of conditions are those? What did they see or what did they witness at the home when he was with his mom?
Well, it's not, the medical record says that doctors say the home was in squalor and Jack hadn't eaten for several days.
So malnourishment?
Yeah. His grandparents tell us that he went there to his mom's house, full-time care, from their care at 2.5, and he was 38 pounds, and he left there at 39 pounds. It just breaks your heart. So we don't know. We don't know what DSS had documented when they went there. We don't know if things were better and they got suddenly worse. But I have a number of sources that have told me, inside that house, there were rat feces, there were roaches, there was minimal food. Beds didn't have mattresses on them, or beds didn't have sheets on them. Just not great conditions at all for a child.
So prior to this, had DSS or Child Protective Services ever been called to that residence?
Yeah, family tells us they were there regularly.
Oh.
Amber has, and we have this in our report, but she has some 9 years of drug convictions. And her kids are between 16 and 4 years old. The 16-year-old lives with her father, and then there's 2 others. So throughout this time, she's had them and not had them, kind of back and forth with the grandparents. But when she does, DSS has to follow up pretty regularly and check the conditions of the house. But what we've learned about DSS, and it sounds like it's a good thing, is no matter what, they want to reunite the kids with their mom. That's the number one goal.
Right. Kids belong with their mom.
That kids belong with their parents. But at some point, these grandparents are saying, what's the line that has to be crossed here? If you go into this house and you see these conditions and you see maybe food constitutes a box of macaroni and cheese, well, Jack's 4 years old. He can't make a box of macaroni and cheese. So what was he living off of? So there's a lot of questions we have for DSS, including, I asked them, was it ever recommended by the caseworker that these kids be removed from the home? If it was recommended, what was the supervisor's decision? What's the paper trail here?
Right. Have you been able to get any documents from DSS?
No, and they say it's because of it's a protected juvenile matter. I have questions about that because the juvenile has passed. So who are we protecting? Is my question. And I think there's a lot more to do here. We still don't know how Jack died. And his mom is facing charges so there's the drug and stolen firearms charges.
And that's what she is facing right now, but there's nothing about child abuse.
There is more because she was initially charged with those drug charges on the 1st. And then they came back and charged her on July 28th with basically exposing children to controlled substances and child abuse. But until we have anything on how Jack died, there wouldn't be a charge related to his death. So I don't know if that will come. Who knows what the medical examiner will find. But a 4-year-old doesn't die of natural causes.
As you've been talking to the grandparents on this, how are they processing this? What has this been like? I can only imagine their loss. Not only, a 4-year-old has died, but then even more tragic to feel like perhaps this could have been prevented in some way, right?
Yeah, and I think when you don't know exactly what caused it, they're, of course, rolling over in their head, gosh, should we have taken back to the hospital because of the fever? And, they're just beside themselves. And meanwhile, having to take care of 2 little kids who saw their brother that morning. So just the trauma of that and everything that they've been through. I think they're having trouble. It's gotten better, but I think they have had trouble in the past with DSS, just trying to. They've said to me, we multiple times tried to convince them that we are the better option for these kids. And DSS disagreed and kept them with their mom. And maybe that was the right decision at the time based on the circumstances. We don't know what her home situation was at that time. But yeah, they're having a really difficult time. And now the 2 older kids, are set to go to school. School's about to start. They have to get all their vaccine, all the stuff that you have to do to get your kids ready for school, get the backpacks and all that stuff in the middle of grieving for Jack.
You mentioned the 2 other siblings. Where are they now? Where does that stand?
They are now in state custody. Technically, they do. They're called temporary protective. It's TSP. I forget the temporary safety protectors or something like that. But basically, they are taking care of them on a day-to-day basis. But when it comes to any kind of decisions for them, it's the state. And they have a guardian ad litem now, which is someone who stands in court and represents their interests. And the family has an attorney. So all of a sudden, the kids are very represented and they're very taken care of. My question is, why did it take a child dying to get to this place? And so obviously, we've heard from Johnston County, no one wanted this to happen. They have extended their condolences. Obviously, if anyone knew this was going to happen, someone would have stepped in sooner. All of that is true. But I just worry, and I think the family has told me that they're concerned this is happening in other places to other families. And so I'm hoping that we can, do right by Jack and have his death mean something and see if we can help other kids who are in the same situation.
Well, we know you'll be staying on top of this story and see what you can uncover from DSS, from the legal side, as the family continues to push for answers. Yeah. And hopefully that this doesn't happen to another family like this again. Certainly that's the hope when we do stories like
exactly.
this.
And, we'll continue not only to follow the court case of his mother, but just...
And that will be playing out.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to follow sort of where this case goes. Now DSS's Johnston County is under investigation by Harnett County. So there is sort of a bureaucratic investigation in the works.
Or maybe a checks and balances
exactly.
to have another county or a third party kind of look into the county.
Exactly right. Yeah. Just to make sure that, they were doing everything by the book policy-wise. So, yeah, this is going to be, in my mind, this needs to be a long investigation till we understand what exactly happened.
Has DSS and also Johnston County Child Protective Services, do you feel rather forthcoming in things? How do you feel their response has been in all of this?
They've been willing to, tell me what they can't tell me. So they've gotten back to me and they've extended their condolences and they've said, this is now under investigation, so we can't say much. And I understand that.
Right.
I'm interested to learn once the pieces of this onion start peeling back and we learn more how forthcoming they're going to be about what happened.
Thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Find the latest North Carolina news on our YouTube page. Just search WRAL. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.